Okay, class, I'm going to show you now how to take your plate and turn it into a digital print. So first I'm going to show you the submission for etching. Okay, so you're going to write your statement here. Tell me about the imagery in both your plates. How does drawing on the two different plates feel? How are they different from how you usually draw? Discuss the process of printing the plexiglass plate. What problems did you encounter? How did you solve them? Okay, so here's where you're going to drag in your dry point plate and then the 3 prints that you printed from it. Here's where you're going to put your drawing for your copper plate. Here you're going to put your actual copper plate. Here's where you're going to put your digital print, which is where you take your copper plate image and make it look as if you had printed it. And here's where you're going to do your experimental print. So let me show you an example. So here's the plate. Here's the 3 prints from it. Here's a pencil drawing of a tree. And then here it is on the copper plate. And then here it is when it would be printed. And here's the experimental image. All right, so let me show you how you're going to do this. So first we're going to open up the picture of our copper plate in Photoshop. Okay, so first let's rotate it. Okay. Now we're going to crop it and skew it because as you can tell it's crooked. So I'm just gonna crop a little bit right now. Image crop. But I want to skew out these corners, so you go to Edit, Transform, Skew. And then you just pull out the corners. Hit Return. And then Command D, which is deselect, right? And you can also do that from here. Deselect right there. Okay, now I'm going to take that marquee tool and do a real crop. Image crop. Oh, I can see there's still a little bit left of the border, which we don't want. Okay, that's better. All right, now we want to fix the levels. So you go to Image, Adjustments, Levels. Make the lights brighter and the darks darker. And the mediums I'll make darker too. Hit OK. Let's also, if you go to Hue Saturation, bring the saturation all the way down, then it's like turning it into black and white without having to actually change the mode of your image. So that way if you want to add color later, it's not as difficult. Hit OK. All right, now I want to make this part darker. So I can go into the burn tool. The burn tool makes things darker. So I can make my paintbrush size a little bigger. Oh, that's a little too big. Okay, that's good. All right, we want it to be, let's do mid-tones. That's going to make the mid-tones darker. It doesn't make the highlights darker, which is nice. And we want to make the shadows darker. Okay, cool. And do the opposite with the dodge tool. It makes things brighter, but this time we want to do the highlights. That can make your bright lines a little brighter. Okay. Then you go to Image, Adjustments, Invert. Okay, so now you have basically what your plate would look like if you printed it. And the other thing we have to do to it as well is go to Image, Image Rotation, Flip Canvas Horizontal. Because remember, it's going to print mirror image. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my burn tool, kind of make some of the lines a little darker. Now, if you see all these scratches, that's what it would look like if you printed it. All these scratches would etch in the ferric chloride chemical, and then they would print. So you might like that look, in which case leave it. If you don't like it, then you can erase it. Go to the eraser. And see, you can kind of just erase things. Okay, you can also use the dodge tool like before. This time put it to shadows, and then you can lighten the scratches if you want. Change it to midtones, like if you want them kind of like still there but fainter. So that's up to you how you want to do that. Okay, so at this point now, if you're happy with it, you would save it, and then that's what you would add to your submission template. Okay, now you have to do one more thing, which is the experimental print. All right, just gonna open something. This is an image I made from a photograph I took, so remember to use things that belong to you that aren't from the internet, etc. If you're calling it your own creative work, it should be your own creative work. All right, Command A, Command C. So basically I'm copying and pasting. Command V. All right, so they don't let you really mess with backgrounds too much, so I like to just make it a new layer and then delete the background. So now I can actually move things around however I want them. Okay, so we're gonna go to Edit, Transform Scale, and I'm just gonna bring it out to the edges. So I'm gonna hit the Shift key and then I can make it change proportions. Okay, hit return. I'm gonna put it underneath. So now you get to play around. There's a couple things you can do. You can make the opacity lighter here, but then you don't really see the lines as much. Or you can go into these different blending modes. So just go down one at a time. And then maybe you'll like something. Whoa, crazy. All right, I'm gonna add another layer actually. Or I think I'm actually just gonna add some more colors onto this layer. I have some ideas of what I'm gonna do. So let's get a color. Let's use the paintbrush. Get the paintbrush a little bigger. That's good. Okay. All right, let's do another color. Let's make the paintbrush a little smaller this time. Okay. All right, now we're gonna go back to our blending modes. I think that's a little more interesting. Oh, that one I think is my favorite. So just play around with it, experiment until you're happy with it. And think of this as like what this would look like if you printed a 2-layer etching. One layer is the copper plate, and the other layer is like all the different colors that you see. And it could be on another copper plate, or it could be on like a plexiglass plate or any kind of plate, maybe wood block, etc. But it would be printed underneath it, so printed first, and then the etching would be on top. So anyway, since we're not going back to school this semester, this is as close as we're going to get to printing now. But if you guys take my Printmaking 2 class in the fall, then we'll print the etching plates then. If you don't take it, but you still want to print your etching plate, I would be more than happy to help you with that. So anytime, you can just find me during office hours or sometime when I'm in the classroom next fall, and we can print it together. Okay? So this will at least give you an idea, though, of what you can expect your plate to look like. Okay, thank you.